Siegner, and today we're shucking oysters with Fisherman's Market. We get a lot of people into the shop. Oysters are obviously very popular on the West Coast, and one of the biggest problems people have is shucking their oysters. It's a very fun, very social thing. It's a very, very cool thing to do in the comfort of your own home. And most importantly, if you're shucking your own oysters in your house or just before you're eating them, you're keeping all the juices, and that's what's important with the oyster. Eating an oyster would be very similar to fine wines. Every oyster has a different flavor profile. Sometimes you got to kind of find what you like. Today we're going to focus on the fundamentals of what you want to look for a good oyster to shuck. You can step in. So, when we're looking at picking an oyster to shuck, this is a cushy oyster. This is from Stellar Bay on the west coast of Vancouver Island. The main thing I like when picking an oyster that I'm going to shuck is it's got a nice uniform shape to it. These ones here, which make them a little bit high end, they go through a rock tumbler, which takes off all the frills so you're not going to cut your finger or slice your finger. I also really like that at the back here where we're going to be entering the oyster with the knife, this little ridge here isn't coming up over it. That's going to give us easy access to get right into the back of the oyster there, and it's going to allow us to shuck it really easy. A lot of these beach oysters that you get are misshapen. They've got really big knobs here, and you can't get into the flesh here, so it makes it really hard to shuck. So that's kind of a couple of things that you're looking for. Cushy oysters, by far one of the best on the West Coast. There's several other really nice name brands. Definitely talk to your fishmonger to see what suits your needs. If you're looking for a variation from the East Coast, the Malapec is another really nice oyster that shucks really, really easily. So when we're shucking our oyster, I'm not going to use a cloth, but a lot of people might want to put a cloth into your hand like that, just in case you're just starting. That way you don't slip through and cut your hand. For today's purposes though, I'm just going to hold it in my hand so you can really see the whole thing. For any oyster, all oysters have a soft little flange here at the back. That's where we want to slide the oyster knife in, and once you get in, it's a little twist and a pop, and it's easy after that. So we're going to apply a little bit of pressure. We're going to hold this in our hand like so. Just a little bit of pressure, and we're going to slide in really nice and easy. Now we've already penetrated into the oyster. The next step is we're just going to twist the oyster knife, and you're going to hear that nice little popping sound there. The oyster is now open. We're holding it level so we keep all the juices inside, and we're going to run the oyster knife along the ridge of the oyster shell, and it's going to detach. It's going to detach the meat from the top of the shell. Now as you can see, inside we've got a nice juice content. It's a moist oyster, hasn't been sitting around drying out. Now the oyster is still attached right here, kind of almost similar to an umbilical cord, and this is where obviously it gets its food and it feeds itself through the shell. So we're going to sever this by almost a little cutting motion around the edge, and then bam, your oyster is disattached. You can actually give a little peek there to see if there's any shells sitting in there. We're looking pretty clean. And there you have the West Coast cushy oyster, shucked by Fisherman's Market.